I'd like to introduce you to one of our correspondents this year on The Awful Truth. It's his first night on the show, Ben Hamper, an old friend of mine from Flint, Michigan. Welcome, Ben.
Hi, Mike.
Ben wrote a best-selling book called Rivet Head a few years ago about his working on the assembly line at General Motors. And then, how many years actually did you work at General Motors?
Even dozen years.
A dozen years. Were you ever laid off during that time?
4 times.
4 times. And what reasons did they give you?
There was oil embargo.
Yeah,
there
what
was
else?
Japanese influx.
Oh,
of
yeah, they like to use that one.
imports.
Yeah. What else?
We lost our military contract.
Oh, well, good. What else?
And then there was the last time when we won a big contract.
The
The
union,
union did,
yeah.
and they
did
just
it
sort
right
of
there.
took it out on us.
Yeah.
Said
Yeah.
bye-bye.
Yeah. All lame excuses as far as I'm concerned for getting rid of people. But I got to tell you, Ben and I heard about this company up in Canada that had even a lamer excuse for laying off its workers. All right? You're not going to believe this, but Ben went up there to check out the situation.
And it was lame.
Woohoo! Watch this.
Imagine going to work every day to the greatest job in the world, making beer.
The years roll by smoothly and swiftly.
That's the way life is for the people who inhabit Little Barrie, Ontario. This humble town of hard-working, decent folk is dedicated to just one thing: making the best damn beer in the world. They work, as they have for the past quarter century, for Molson Breweries, makers of Molson Ale and Molson Ice. But a few months ago, tragedy struck Barrie, Ontario. Molson decided that it would be more profitable to close their Barrie facility and move that beer production to Toronto. None of the Toronto jobs would be offered to the Barrie workers.
I believe that Molson has a responsibility not only to the people that work here, but also to Barrie as a community.
I put in 20 years here. I feel I'm a hard worker, and I want to work for Molson Breweries. We want our jobs, whether they're in Toronto or here.
Molson felt that the cultural differences between people who live in Barrie and people who live in Toronto would be too great, and would make the working conditions in Toronto too disruptive. So what could be the difference in cultures between Barrie, Canada and Toronto, Canada? As I located Barrie and Toronto on the map, I could see that the management for Molson had a point. Barrie and Toronto were over 45 miles apart. As someone who is an expert both on being downsized and being full of beer, I felt there had to be a way to bridge this cultural divide. First, I needed to know more about these two exotic and varied cultures. And there's no better place to start than with the cuisine. What kind of food do people here in Barrie eat?
We do a lot of fast food, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Pizza, hamburgers.
A lot of pizza, fast food.
The regular food people eat anywhere, you know.
Next, I compared the differences in climate and topography. Both seem to have a lot of ice, and both seem to really enjoy it. Finally, I observed their personal grooming habits. Most of the guys in Toronto wearing their hair similar to that now? Yep. Sure, on the surface, there were similarities between the two cities. But as Molson had indicated, there were also glaring differences.
Elvis Stoico practices at a rink near here.
Yeah, Elvis Stoico, the figure skater.
Stoico, yeah, that's right.
We heard he practiced here.
He practiced here, yeah, that's right.
That's right. There was no Elvis Stoico in Toronto. After downing a few more coldies, the solution came to me. If I could prove to Molson that there was, in fact, no difference between their Barrie workers and their Toronto workers, then maybe I could get everyone in Barrie their job back. I decided to start with just one worker from Barrie and help him make the huge cultural leap to Toronto. Meet Ken, a laid-off Barrie worker. How long you been over there at the beer plant?
At the brewery, I've got 22 years.
It wasn't too long ago you guys could drink in there.
When I first started in the brewery, it was nothing to, come in the morning and people would go to the beer fridge, have a beer.
Did you find Molson's a good place to work for overall?
Pretty good place to work for the 22 years.
As we sat down to a traditional Canadian breakfast, I began to put Ken through my ambitious Toronto orientation program.
Beer.
Beer. Hockey.
Hockey.
Beer.
Beer.
So far, so good. Confident that I had removed all signs of Ken's Barrie origins, I loaded him into the car and headed for the biggest test of all.
I think if you just keep your eyes on me, I can help you adjust.
Could a Molson worker from Barrie successfully hang out with a Molson worker from Toronto? There was no telling what would happen. Meet Chris, a beer worker from Toronto.
Hi, Chris. This is Ken.
This wasn't going so well. But then, I realized that these two men spoke a common language. Together, Ken, Chris, and I had crossed a great cultural divide. We had breached the Berlin Wall of breweries. We had drunk a whole lot of beer. So I say to Molson, rehire these workers from Barrie. With professional supervision, they too can make the cultural adjustment, just like Ken did. And remember, you can take the man out of the beer factory, but you can't take the beer factory out of the man. And until Molson rehires the workers of Barrie, shame on you, Molson, and shame on you, Toronto. But as for you, brave workers of Barrie, ask not for whom Elvis Stoico skates. He skates for you, Barrie. Elvis Stoico skates for you.